Coming up, the University of Virginia's newly hired tribal liaison outlines his goals to bring more Native American students to campus. Organizers in Washington are working to support Indigenous candidates and voting ahead of the next election, and find out how the Phoenix Indian Center is helping urban Native children express pride in their culture. I am Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for those interviews plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Amirao Hopa, thank you for joining us. We start today in Arizona, where veterans from one tribal community are on the road to receiving benefits closer to home. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs has officially recognized the Gila River Indian community's participation in its Tribal Representation Expansion Program. That makes Gila River only the second tribe to earn this status besides the Navajo Nation. Gila River veterans can now get help with benefits and pension claims. The program aims to expand and enhance representation for Native people while promoting avenues toward accreditation within tribal communities. According to the U.S. Department of Defense, Native people serve in the U.S. military at the highest rate per capita compared to other racial groups. Despite this, many Native veterans may not be aware of or have access to benefits and services available to all U.S. military veterans. Well, electric vehicles are coming to tribal nations in a big way. The California-based automaker Tesla is opening up showrooms on tribal lands to sell electric vehicles directly to consumers. This model of selling cars differs from vehicle manufacturers who use the dealership model and must abide by state regulations for their retail locations. By selling directly to consumers on tribal lands, Tesla has found the loophole to avoid local car dealership laws by instead following the rules for individual sovereign nations. In the fall, the entertainment complex and casino Mohegan Sun will open a showroom with a sales and delivery center in Connecticut. Last year, Tesla announced the opening of another showroom on the lands of the Oneida Nation in New York, set to open in 2025. That is already coupled with others located at Santa Ana Pueblo and Nambe Pueblo in New Mexico. We turn now to Capaño territory in Southern California. The Pala Band of Mission Indians made history there last month when it signed the first emergency services mutual aid agreement with the state. Kitty Alvarado from KPBS in San Diego was there and has this report.
The Pala Band of Mission Indians and the state of California made history.
This is the first time a tribe has entered into an agreement like this with the state of California, and we are proud to be leading the way of the new and evolving relationships between states and tribes.
Tribal Chairman Robert Smith signed the first and only mutual aid agreement between their fire department and the California Office of Emergency Services. He made the announcement on sovereign land at their only fire station.
We are setting a new standard for virtual government-to-government partnerships to ensure safety of our communities. This is a monumental achievement for our fire department, our tribe, and our entire community.
Cal OES Director Nancy Ward explained they will be joining 60 jurisdictions.
You are officially part of the California Fire and Rescue Mutual Aid System and will be able to use the fire engine to help local and statewide all hazards response, especially during wildfire season.
Part of the agreement says that the Pala Fire Department will house a bright yellow Cal OES Type 3 rig. They will staff it and send it to emergencies that require more resources. But many fire departments across the state are having staffing issues, and Pala Fire is no different. They're currently down 3 firefighter paramedics and 1 engineer. Not being fully staffed right now,
Yeah.
what is that commitment like? Does that worry you a little bit that you're going to have to say no sometimes?
Actually, no, it doesn't. It doesn't worry me because our commitment is to OES for that rig being here, and so we will staff that. And on that, we do callbacks. And if not, the mutual aid, auto aid agreements we have within the other departments in the surrounding area will help cover us for that.
I don't see an issue in resource alignment, but it's a balancing act. There's no question about that.
This type of agreement used to be forbidden.
Governor Gavin Newsom positioned us to now be able to enter into those master mutual aid agreements with tribal governments. So it changed the game.
But thanks to this agreement, Ward says it sets the stage for others. When you think about the negotiations overall, was there one thing that you just said, we are not willing to give this up, that was a non-starter?
It's about sovereignty. The wording in the sovereignty is what, and we didn't say no to it. We just negotiated what should be in there as a safeguard for not only OES but also the tribe. And the main thing is our sovereignty. We always protect that. That's one thing that we have that no one will ever take from us.
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
In Montana, a decorated Indian cowboy has journeyed on. Shoshone-Bannock citizen Jack Edmo died on July 23rd in Billings. Even though the 83-year-old was a citizen of another tribe, Edmo was a fluent speaker of the Blackfeet language and believed deeply in tribal traditions. In the 1970s, he had a storied career as a cowboy, winning over 170 belt buckles. He was a founder of the Rocky Mountain Indian Rodeo Association and helped organize the Indian National Finals Rodeo. In one instance, Edmo placed in 5 rodeo events, including one in Canada. Aside from riding, Edmo was a tribal government specialist and worked as a planner for the Blackfeet tribe for 15 years. He is survived by his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. The Phoenix Indian Center was the first urban center of its kind in the nation. For over 75 years, its services has enriched the lives of Native Americans across Arizona. The organization just wrapped up a youth summer program focused on teaching the value of making healthy choices. Here to share more is Kennedy Slow Talker Begay, the manager of the prevention program at the Phoenix Indian Center. Hi, Kennedy. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi.
So you are the prevention specialist for the Phoenix Indian Center. Tell us about what that work means.
So prevention specialists, they do a lot of our work. They're more of our frontline staff. So they meet hands-on with the community. They meet with them one-on-one and learning more about the things and the services that they're wanting to provide or wanting us to provide.
And a program that you put on recently was the Living in Two Worlds program. For our viewers who are learning about it for the first time, tell us about it.
So with the Indian Center, we offer the Living in Two Worlds curriculum, which is a evidence-based substance abuse prevention curriculum for middle school youth. During the school year, we primarily work with different school districts throughout the valley, but during the summer, we have the opportunity to open that up to more youth within Maricopa County. And so in recent years, we've started implementing 2 summer camps. And so in the morning sessions, we really implement that Living in Two Worlds curriculum, and then in the afternoon, we bring in different cultural presenters, people from various tribal backgrounds, just to get the youth exposed to different tribal backgrounds. A lot of our youth are Navajo, so we try to bring in different people from different tribal backgrounds like Gila River, Salt River, Pasquayaki, and it's been really neat. Our whole motto is cultural abuse prevention, and we really try to follow that.
And tell us why a program like this is so important and needed to begin with.
More so because a lot of our youth, we're realizing that they're not connected with their culture back home. And so with the curriculum and with bringing in different cultural presenters, we're able to bridge that gap. The youth have the opportunity to not only meet other youth that look exactly like them, have different backgrounds the same as they do, but they get to meet different people who have different cultural backgrounds and learn about various cultures and really try to bridge that gap between living in the urban setting and then back home on the reservation.
How did a program like this get its start to begin with? I know that a lot of times we always think about things in a big way, but when you're trying to put a program on like this and thinking through logistics, it can sometimes get a little muddy. But I'd love to hear how it started.
I would want to say it started with me, but it started a long time ago. But recently we've started implementing 2 programs. Before they only did 1, and then during the pandemic we had to get really creative, so we actually did a virtual summer camp. And so recently we decided that, we should probably try to reach more youth, and so we started doing 2 summer camps. We do one June session and one in July. Planning starts as early as January. We just start looking for cultural presenters. We start looking at people on social media. Through our coalition social media account, we're able to look at different people and what they're doing. And then we really start reaching out and trying to contact them and bring them in to meet the youth.
Tell us about some of the success stories of the children who attend these camps.
I could get emotional. We have some kids who come in and they started last year. For example, we have one kid, his name, I can't share his name, but he started the camp in the June session and he was really the youngest one. And then he came back in July and he was like, I know all these things, I did all this stuff already. But then he came back this camp for the June session, and so he really got to meet a lot of the kids, but he's really enjoyed it. A lot of our youth really enjoy it because not only do we bring in different cultural people, but we also bring in like different incentives and things like that. We also have other youth who are able to connect with.
And from the parent perspective, what do they tell you about the value of this program?
They really enjoy it. They really think it's neat, especially because a lot of these kids, because we're opening up to Maricopa County, a lot of these kids, they don't have other Native kids in their school districts. And so they don't get to experience that. And so being at this camp, they're able to be immersed in the culture and just getting to know kids that look exactly like them and have their same cultural background.
What are some of the goals to expand this program into the future?
Our goal is to have more kids, hopefully reach more youth. We've wanted to, for so long, to do 2 summer camps, but do one in Central Phoenix and do one on the East Valley. Just because we know in the East Valley there's more higher Native American population there. So if we could do one camp here and one camp there, it'd be really neat.
I want to talk about back to school time because, of course, either kids have already gone back to school or they are about to go back to school. Mm-hmm. What kinds of programs or initiatives does the Phoenix Indian Center have right now for kids going back to school?
Right now, we actually have a back to school drive that's happening. So if youth are in need of different school supplies and things like that, they're more than welcome to come down to the Phoenix Indian Center and grab a backpack full of supplies.
That is so great. And I know that so often, especially for urban Native people living in big cities, sometimes finding support like that isn't the easiest thing to do. So for people watching this in other cities who are not in Phoenix, what advice or tidbits would you have for them?
I would say check out our website. Everything is on there. We're at thephoenixindiancenter.org. We're also very active on social media. We're active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on LinkedIn, but we also have the Urban Indian Coalition of Arizona's social media account. So we're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook.
Kennedy, thank you so much for your time today. Virginia is home to 7 federally recognized tribes and 11 state-recognized tribes. A new position at the University of Virginia is hoping to create a more straightforward path for Native students to attend UVA. In late July, the university announced it hired Cody Grant as its first tribal liaison. I sat down with him recently for this interview.
So my ultimate goal is just to be a listening ear and kind of a good funnel for communication, if you will. So this position was kind of created in long talks with many of the local tribes between UVA and the local communities to find a point of communication of somebody to have a consistent point of contact. So over my kind of long term, right, other than being kind of an open forum for folks to get in touch with, I'd like to help build the role as it's the very new first tribal liaison for UVA, right? I'd like to build kind of a guiding document that'll help kind of inform everybody of what to expect from the role, but I'd also like to begin work on a tribal consultation policy. So when we think about this level of communication, how can we streamline that by having a good standard of best practices?
I read that before you were hired as a tribal liaison, there was faculty and staff who was doing this kind of work on a volunteer basis. Can you give us some background on that?
So I think that's part of the notion of what speaks to the work that's already been going on before I got here. So one of the neat things that I've learned is that this position hasn't been built in a silo. So this is kind of a multifaceted effort of people from all over UVA and people from many of the different tribal communities to build and uplift this role, right, and to make it a reality. So one of the things that I have noticed is with all these different efforts that are going on, right, there hasn't been a centralized person to kind of promote what that work has been so far. And so up until this point, it has been a lot of individuals kind of putting forth their own resources and time to kind of say, what kind of relationship or community can we build individually? So now it's moving. So how do we do it individually? How do we all do it together?
I know that you've only been in this position, you mentioned, for just a few weeks, but give us some background as to how many Native American students attend UVA and what kinds of areas and disciplines that they study.
Sure. So in the previous year, there was about 50 or so Native students who come from a lot of different communities, and they're kind of going into different programs that are available at the university. So we have some folks who are over at Health UVA, for example, some folks who are over at the School of Architecture, and then we also have kind of a minor of Indigenous studies as well that folks are taking too.
The Supreme Court ruled recently that colleges and universities cannot use race as a factor in college admissions. How do you anticipate that affecting potential Native American students who want to attend UVA?
Mhm. Well, with this being a most recent decision, right, I think it's very valid to say we're not sure how this is going to move forward with. So, one of the things that I would say within this kind of new recent decision is there was a release by President Jim Ryan and Provost Ian Bolcom that you can kind of refer to. And I think that really highlights the notion of we're going to do everything we can do within our legal power to kind of make sure that any kind of person from a diverse background with different interests has the ability to come and attend the university.
Cody, you've only been in this role for a few weeks now, as you mentioned, but what have you been hearing from tribal leaders in reaction to your hiring and what their greatest concerns are for Native American students right now?
Sure. So the moving forward within this new realm of communication, right? I have gotten reports that they're very excited to begin work and to have somebody to kind of be in contact with. So I had received an invitation to go out and visit the Monacan Nation. So I'm excited to get that set up and go out and visit with them. So I think one of the neat things is kind of like you're aware of my tribal backgrounds. A lot of it's from out west and from the Eastern Woodlands. But being able to meet with many of the more communities here in Virginia, I think is going to be a really big learning project for me. And I'm excited to be in touch with them more kind of intimately and learn more about the area and the region and their specific communities.
There are many students who watch the ICT Newscast. For those who are in high school and maybe making the list of the colleges and universities that they want to apply to, why do you think that UVA should be on that list, and how would you advise those kinds of students?
So one of the things that I would tell the students, if you're what you do after, right? What's out there? There is a whole world of things that you can begin to engage with outside of your community to find a level to show people who you are and who your people are. So whether that's talking about it in a historical perspective, right? Saying this is what our history is, this is what our culture is, right? You can also show them who you are in the modern day, right? So can we be chemists? Can we be writers, or can we be computer techs? All these different opportunities are there, but it's not a separation of your history or your culture or your community, but it's a strengthening to show people this is who we are and these are the things that we can do now. So I would say as you begin to look forward into the future, find the story that you want to tell and then go to the place that you know can help you tell that story. But know that in all cases, your family, your community, and folks like tribal liaison position UVA is behind you to help and support you and to kind of cheer you on as you go on down that journey.
Cody Grant, thank you so much.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
Native Vote Washington is on a mission to get Indigenous people to run for office and to support those candidates by getting out the vote. Katie Titus joins us now virtually to tell us more. She's the senior manager at Native Vote Washington. Welcome to the ICT Newscast, Katie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Before we get into politics, I understand that you have just returned from the canoe journey. Tell us about that and why you participated.
Canoe journey, the paddle to Muckleshoot this year was incredible. It started at Alkali Beach in Seattle, and just seeing the amounts of canoes that were coming ashore and asking for permission to come ashore was something that you really can't describe unless you're there. It was pretty cool. But Muckleshoot was a week long, and it was filled with protocol with different tribes. So it was great. And we were there to get people registered to vote. We were there to get people educated on who was running for office this year, and how to get more involved in the Native Vote movement.
What is Native Vote Washington and why is this work important?
Thank you. So Native Vote Washington was formed back in 2008 by Indigenous leaders across Washington. It wasn't until my CEO, Alyssa Macy, she's a part of the Warm Springs Confederation down in Oregon. She picked up Native Vote and turned it into a year-round civic engagement program that's physically sponsored by Washington Conservation Action, which is one of the larger environmental nonprofits here in Washington state. So this is our second year of being a year-round civic engagement program. And it's important because Washington has one of the highest numbers of tribes in the country. And so by working together and by endorsing candidates, we have the potential to create a larger movement here in Washington. So I'm excited to see this work being done, especially in our communities.
Your organization was very active during the last presidential election. What results of your work did you see then?
It was great. So far in just the 2 years that we've been operating, we've been seeing great success. We've had over 350,000 people participating on social medias. We were able to get Native officials elected into office. And we also, it was our first year actually being in a part of Indian country and rural reservation areas instead of focusing on urban settings, which is historically what has been the case.
I want to talk about what progress you've seen as far as Indigenous people running for office.
Yeah, so last session we had 3 candidates run for office and win. Native Vote actually got to participate in their campaigns. We had Claudia Kaufman, who's Nez Perce, and Chris Stern, who's Navajo, Deborah LaCanta, who is Tlingit. We worked on their campaigns with them. We did door knocking activities, and they are actually in session this year. So that is exciting to see the progress happen. This year, we actually have more Natives running for public office than we've ever seen here in Washington. So it's very exciting, and we're really excited to help them with their campaigns.
Tell us about some of the seats of those people that are running for office. Are you seeing that they're running for Congress, for the state legislature, for school boards? What does that look like?
Yeah, so for Native Vote Washington, we really focus on the local positions. So we have a few that are running for seats in the Senate, but we are also focusing on, there's a ton of Native people running for school boards in our state this year. And we're excited to see that change happen and to be a part of those races. And also for Port of Commissioners. So like we have an elected or a Native candidate running for the Port of Tacoma, which has never been seen before.
Across the country, we've been seeing efforts to make voting harder for people, especially those living in rural areas. Are you seeing that in the Northwest?
Absolutely. So my office is technically in Seattle, but I have historically always lived in rural areas. So I live in rural Eastern Washington, and with the tribes around me that I participate in their culture and their community, we don't even have a ballot box out there. So it's things like that that are becoming a problem in Indian country, that are a problem all over the country for us. But we're trying to help show the process and get that changed here in Washington.
Katie, I'd love to hear on a personal level why this work is so important to you.
Yeah, so growing up in Alaska, I'm Koyukon Athabascan from the interior of Alaska. I've just slowly seen our fishing and hunting rights be taken away. I've historically seen the way of life, because we live very subsistence lifestyles up there, be chipped away. And then in my past career, before coming to Native Vote Washington, I worked in renewable energy for solar companies that installed large solar complexes on tribal nations across the country. And I've just, by witnessing the issues that tribes have with utilities and county officials and land use issues, we're sovereign nations. We shouldn't be having these difficulties with our own land and with our own issues. So that's kind of what got me into the political, I guess, playing field, is wanting to protect that tribal sovereignty.
Katie, what is the ultimate goal of this work? I know that very few Native Americans have been elected to the U.S. Congress from the Pacific Northwest.
That would be the ultimate goal, right? But we're going to start from the ground zero. We just want more participation from our tribal members, especially in rural areas, because those are the areas that seem to be forgotten a lot. But also we want more of those Native people to run for political office in there, whether it be a local seat like a county commissioner or a higher one like running for Congress. That would be incredible, and we're here to support them.
Well, Katie Titus, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.